right. Okay. Yeah, we're going to actually kick off already while others will join. I noticed about three people were actually on the stream already, but yeah, maybe they dropped off. So I'm sure they'll be joining back shortly. All right. So if you can hear me, hello, Steve, and hi, Moses.
Yeah.
Hi, good
Hello.
evening.
Have a good
Oh,
evening. Hello.
all right. So how is the weekend going, guys?
Oh man, the weekend has been fine here. It's been a lot of work so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you should be rested,
Oh
Steve.
man.
You should be rested.
No, while you're not rested. Uh,
Yeah. Moses, what about you?
There's no rest. I'm just there, still pushing. No days off.
I mean, this tech thing. Honestly, we need to be resting at times. Like, I mean, Saturday, Sunday. Try to relax and rest. Of course, I mean, I'm not. I'm not saying this because I rest every now and then. But yeah, I mean, I think we need it. Okay. So we are going to be, of course, having an educative, session. The idea is others from the community should be able to, watch these recordings later and learn, one or two things. We're going to be talking about, data ingestion, basically. Um, so what I actually look at here is we have a scenario, right? I got this from a friend, sometime last week. We're having this session, and I decided to, you know, bring this up today, so we can have a conversation around this, right? So I'm going to share my screen, and I will show, the request. Um, so basically, what my friend had worked on, for his company, right? So just for the sake of, privacy, I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but yeah, just tell me if you can see my screen, okay? Just let me know if you can see my screen. All right.
yeah.
Okay, so I converted the message into a scenario like this, right? So imagine you're working for a leading e-commerce company. Um, the name of the company. This is just an example. eShop. I mean, I mean, this my friend works for a very popular e-commerce brand. So I mean, from saying that, you should be able to pick up on an idea, right? A Nigerian-based e-commerce brand. Um, all right, so you have this e-commerce brand, and they sell a wide range of products online. So now they want to gain real-time insights into user behavior, um, website performance, and inventory management, right? And the plan is to use this data to enhance customer experience and optimize the business and sales operations. So this is what we have here. Let me understand, from your own angle. Just tell me what you think about this. Let's start from Steve.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, this is the company trying to collect data from users, how they are using the platform. That's one sort of data they want to collect. And then the other information that they're interested in is basically how the website performs, and lastly, inventory management. Okay, so these are like three sections, separate sections, for them. All right, so well, obviously these three um, categories of data. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. What would you?
Okay, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
I thought you were about saying these three categories of data. I thought you
Yes,
wanted.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry. So these three categorization of data, right? Sort of like would definitely be used for different purposes. Okay, all right.
yeah,
So the producers here would be different. I mean, for looking at it, user behavior would come from mostly how maybe from users themselves. That would be like the producer of the data. Right, that's where it should come from. How they things they click on, things they're looking at. The categories of products they're most users are interested in a particular region, stuff like that. Then website performance can come from maybe logs, for instance, and then inventory, of course, comes from maybe the merchants on the platform. If it's a platform like
It's
let me
multi-tenant,
see,
huh?
yeah, if it's multi-tenant, yeah, right. So that's why. So here we're looking at three separate um, event sources, and definitely the consumers would mostly be different, or might even be the same, maybe one or two consumers of whatever the output of the data we're collecting would be. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So Moses, let me hear your take on this.
Um, okay. Hi, everyone. Um, so first, you this is an e-shop. They sell a wide range of products online, and they would like to gain real-time insights into user behaviors, website performance, and inventory management. So, as from what end do you want me to come in? Do you want me to come in from the marketing part or from the engineering part?
Okay. So basically, what we're trying to do here, what we're trying to do here is, of course, design this system, right? So system design. So we're basically trying to design this, this system. Um, so I want you to just tell me, like, what you understand, from what we're trying to achieve. So of course, Steve already mentioned that, we are expecting to, have multiple, data producers, right? Multiple data producers, inventory management, of course, the website performance and the user behavior. We expect, the producers to come from different angles. At the end of the day, it depends on how the system is actually designed. But, eventually, you're looking at capturing three different types of data, right? So I just want to hear what you have to say, right, about this information right here. Then we would go ahead and, have a formal introduction. For most people that might not know you, right, I would want you to also introduce yourself. But let me just, I mean, in the next 1 minute, maybe just, tell us what you understand by, the problem.
Okay, so one thing to take note of here is um, you have to set up a good metric system, because if you don't set your metric system perfectly, you are bound to have issues, run into errors, or i- at the end point you are not going to be able to gain all of this data you are trying to get. So first, you need to design your system properly. You need to take note of things like the latency, response time, attempt to first byte, the error rates, the bandwidth. All of this all of these things should be identified
Okay.
beforehand from your system design. So that way, if there is no proper setup of that, you won't even be able to like get long staying users on your website, talk less of being able to get insights or feedbacks or do surveys.
Okay. So I think I get your point. Quite all right. Let's quickly, have a simple introduction. So I can see we have two guys, watching on YouTube. Please go ahead and, drop a message if you're in the chat already. My name is Marvelous. I'm the founder at Techie's Garage, right? And of course, if you know me already, then you should know that I have, multiple programs, for training and organizing educational workshops like this. Okay. I'm a solutions architect. I work in the bank, right, full time, and I also have, a couple of consulting um, gigs. Okay, so yeah, so I'm a consultant, and if you're looking at building solutions, whether as a startup, a medium-sized, or large organization, I can definitely assist you with that. All right, and on the stage here, I have with me Steve and Moses. I would actually want Steve and Moses to introduce themselves before I speak. I would speak more if they fail to give enough detail. All right, so Steve, are you with us?
Yeah. I'm here.
All right. Okay, so go ahead and introduce yourself, Steve.
Okay. Hi everybody. My name is Wakasi Stephen. Um, I'm the lead software engineer at Ivory Pay. Ivory Pay is a crypto payment gateway here in Africa that enables African businesses to collect payments in cryptocurrency and have payouts in cryptocurrency and also in fiat. Right. So yeah. So mostly my day-to-day work involves a whole lot of system designing and architectural design. Yeah. Sometimes DevOps related stuff too as well. Right. And I'm also a contract DevOps engineer at um, uh, both click. All right, so do DevOps related stuff too, from Jenkins to Terraform, basically stuff like that. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, that's all Marv.
All right, awesome. I was actually speaking. I forgot to unmute myself. Sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. So, lead developer at Ivory Pay and DevOps consultant at Boldclick. All right, Moses, if you can hear us, over to you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Moses Adebayo, and I'm a full stack developer at Remote Wow. And yeah, I basically I'm the lead developer because there is pretty much not any developer around me. So I'm a full stack software developer at Remote Wow, and I'm also the DevOps consult. I'm a DevOps consultant at both Click. Um, yeah, that's it about me. And I love Turkey. Yeah, thank you.
All right, yeah, that's a wonderful profile, Moses. Okay, so yeah, I've been working with you, Moses, and Steve for quite a while now. Um, Started off working with Moses. I think that should be on Top Universe, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Um, yeah, so Top Universe, we started off, building the community together, and as of today, you are, one of the leaders when it comes to community advocacy and community management at Top Universe. So I mean, it's nice getting to have you on the stage with Steve and of course myself. So thanks for showing up. Um, all right, so let's speak to this, this use case we have on our screen. What I'm going to do right now is I'll be sharing a different screen. So I want to move this, or I believe we can see this very well if I just, okay. So I would want Steve to go ahead and speak to this, right? So you are asked to build this system. Tell us what exactly you're going to be doing. If you want me to take down some notes, if you want to share your screen, which is something I believe you would want to do, let me know. And I believe you can share your screen. Do you have the permission to do that, Steve?
Yeah. Let me just see. Hold on.
Okay.
I have permission.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. I
okay.
think I think I can do that.
Okay. So do you want to share your screen, Steve?
Maybe if I have to, I will. But can you see my screen at least for now?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Then it works fine then. All right, bro. Yeah. I'll let you know if I have to. Okay.
Okay, okay. So okay, let's pick up from my end, right? So we want to set up basically what we're doing here is, as I said earlier, we are basically trying to collect information. We're trying to collect data from different channels. But for now, I'm going to assume that we don't want to mention those channels for now. What are the important things or the important questions to ask if you are in the position to do this? What are some of the important questions you should ask? I believe Moses started off with some very interesting questions already. But yeah, I mean, let me hear from you, Steve. For those listening in the audience, what are some vital informations you would want to ask before proceeding to design the system? Steve, sorry, are you speaking? Okay, Moses, I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear Steve.
Right, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. All right.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me out?
Yes, I can hear you now, Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Okay, I think maybe Steve might be having some, network glitches from his end. I don't know, but
Yeah.
let me.
Yeah. Can you hear me
Okay, can
now?
you? Yeah, I can hear you, Steve. Can you hear us?
Yeah. 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 I think I had the fish
Okay.
there.
Okay, so my question was, if you're about to start designing a system like this, what are some of the, questions you might want to ask?
Okay. Yeah. So generally, um, I'll be starting with you know, uh, the source of the data itself, right? So those are things that I might want to start with, and for us to have like very good understanding of where what our source or what our sources would be. First of all, I think would also want to understand the actual you know information that whoever will be using this data would like to get. All right, so we
I,
want to know stuff
I
like,
ask you.
yeah. So
Okay.
we might want to. I would like ask questions like, okay, what's the purpose? Okay, what are you? What kind of data? What do you want to know? Do you want to know? Do you want to know? Okay, what users in a particular region, like I had previously mentioned, what users in a particular region, are interested in what sort of products or what categories of products, which pages are they, going to, what are the keywords they are searching, those are the kind of things that I'd like to know if the business is interested in. All right. So that would help us understand how we are collecting this information. Right. So yeah. So basically, that will help us understand how we're collecting information. All right. So another thing it would be to determine how we are processing this data. All right. So yeah. So if this was like an basically this is an existing company, right? So I'd
Yeah.
like to know what technologies they're using currently, right? So that might be necessary to know the kind of technologies there, because it's based on the technology. That's basically how we're going to be collecting this data from the current data that they have, also from the current tools that they're working with, right? So also, are we going to be collecting this data, based on previously stored information, or also how are we going to be utilizing um, basically at what points are we going to be collecting the real-time data. Okay, say maybe when somebody adds something to their carts. For instance, somebody adds something to their cart. It doesn't mean they've bought it yet, but they just add a particular item to their cart. All right, so we might want to keep track of maybe the person who adds something to their cart and the data, the product they've just added to their cart, and stuff like that. All right, we might want to keep track of maybe their location. All right, so yeah, those kind of information would be, would be necessary. I think that I would ask.
Okay. So
So
can I describe some of the things you've talked about? Like I can call them the user information, of course, because the location and a bunch of
yeah,
others. Right? User
yes,
information as regards the products that they are using, not like information that they did not give us, of course, but
no,
information.
no, no. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they're like their personal information that they've given to us, during registration, and then stuff like the product information that they just added to cards, for instance, or that they're just opened up on their maybe if they click on the particular product to read more about it. All right, so that would probably be a product of interest. Okay, so another source of data would be maybe their search, the tokens in their search. All right, so you look at their whenever they search for a particular thing. All right, while we are fetching the results, we might also want to push that data. All right, whatever tokens that they've added in their search. When I say tokens here, I mean like each word. I mean that's the level, not like character level. Basically each word, yeah.
Yeah.
So search information, and yeah, so we might want to also pass that information into our data pipeline, and yeah.
But of course, it is ideal that the users should also, understand that you are taking some of this information. I mean, they should, consent to you using this information, right? I believe that should be maybe on some sort of agreement during sign up or so.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Moses, yeah, Moses, if you can hear us, I would want
Yeah.
you to contribute, please.
So, very first thing you need to take note of is data. Data is
Okay,
king. Like, data is king. So you pretty much need to start. You need to um properly set up how you want to collect data from the page views, the clicks, the add to cart actions, like why do they abandon purchase, why do they abandon their cart, all of this you need to take into notes from the very onset. And looking at the prompt here, you said wide range of products, which means they tend to have a lot of customers, clients that is going to start shopping on their website. So you need to take note of um you need to set up your real-time processing. There needs to be standard real-time processing. So customers don't get lost, they don't lost their, maybe they try to make a simple refresh and then they lost their carts. They can't find whatever they added in their cart anymore. You also need to set up alert and monitoring. Monitoring
okay.
is
So,
also
when
like is very
sorry,
important.
let me ask something there. When you say setting up alert and monitoring, are these some of the what we're looking at right now would be, some of the questions that you would want to ask before designing this system. I think you're already, you're already designing the system in your head.
Yeah,
Steve,
when you say real time insights, like that's when you get to set up monitoring systems like this that gives you insights of whatever is
yeah.
going on your platform immediately.
Okay. I get your point, right? Okay, let me take it from here first. Then maybe when we start designing the system, you can come in, Moses. Okay.
Okay.
So, I like some of the questions that Steve already outlined, right? The use case. I would always start from the use case, right? You want to ask questions like, you're asking the if you're coming in as a consultant, of course, you're asking to know, what are exactly the primary goals and objectives of wanting to gain this real time insights, right? And then you can also go as far as even asking, do you have like specific metrics or KPIs that would be crucial for the success of this system? That's a very vital question you would want to ask, because that would then put you on track to understand the exact type of data you want to track, right? And you can also ask the customer or the client to provide more details about the expected real-time insights. So, for example, are you trying to understand the browsing patterns? The specific product popularity, based on what users are, purchasing the most, right? Or what they are even searching for the most. All right. So these are the kind of things that I believe would, make us understand, um, or make us build a better system. If I can actually say that, yeah, I mean that would actually make us build better systems. You need to also understand if there are, some sort of, performance bottlenecks, if they have been having issues with performance when it comes to the system. Maybe that is why they're trying to understand the website performance, right? I mean, if a business is trying to track their website performance, then of course it's because they are having some sort of issues. Maybe during checkout, maybe during product listing or product search, right? You need to understand the specific area that this problem might be coming from. And when we talk about the kind of data, which is another interesting thing that Steve have mentioned already, you want to understand like what exactly are the data sources, for this system. So if we have products, listing on this platform, of course we do. How exactly do we, enter these products, and at what point would the users get to see these products? Do they have to first sign up, right? Then sign in, or do you list the product even without having users sign up or sign? Because imagine Alibaba, for example, right, or AliExpress. Even when you're not signed in, we already see a listing. So if you have a system that is actually tracking patterns, then I believe your system should, or maybe you want that system to also track patterns. I mean, these are the kind of questions you want to ask the client, right, or the person or the people employing your expertise on building this, right? If I am a user, I am not logged in on a e-commerce platform yet. Do you still want to understand, do you still want to track some of this information, or you only want to track these details when the users are signed in? You should be able to, figure out what exactly, the business is trying to achieve, right? How frequently is this, set of data generated, right? And of course, what is the expected data volume? You need to understand, the volume that we're looking at here. All right. Of course, you would ask questions like, okay, what type of data processing, do we plan on, embarking on, right? Of course, we know that we are interested in the real-time analysis here, but are we also going to be, performing things like batch processing for some reasons, I mean, it depends on when we start diving into each of these things. For example, customer experience. How do you specifically want to measure customer experience, right? I mean, if you know that you are basically tracking the inventory management, which is to say, this particular customer purchased this set of items, right? And you have known that, okay, this set of items have left the inventory already. Okay, what are the remaining items in the inventory? How often is this particular item leaving, right? How often is this particular item being purchased, right? If we have some items being returned, how often are these items being returned? I mean, you should be able to say, okay, we want to have a way to track the items that that are not very good, that users don't find useful, or maybe users purchase that item because they need it, but eventually they end up returning it, due to some reasons you don't know, right? I mean, if you're not monitoring this, you probably will not even figure out that this particular item has been marked as the most listed item to be returned by customers, right? Maybe we can call that returned items. Okay, so of course this would definitely help us. And then you go into like the scalability and the performance. What exactly is the requirement we're looking at here? Is it that we have increasing volume of the users, right, or increasing volume of data? I mean, why exactly would they want to be tracking the inventory? If you ask these questions, then I believe the business would then give you more details as to why this is even listed as part of what they would want to achieve, right? Of course, I mentioned the website bottleneck earlier. If they're having like performance, bottlenecks, they should be able to tell us that, okay, we have received several complaints from our users that when they try to do A, B, C, the website is usually slow, right? Why do you want to track user behavior? I mean, let's come back to that again. Maybe you have figured out that, okay, if we do this, if we track what users love to purchase the most, then we can give them, recommendations of products that are similar, right? You know, yeah, I mean, instead of listing randomly, right? Of course, I mean, think about it. Somebody is making a purchase, and they are already making a purchase as to maybe like baby wears, right? And then you figure out that, okay, this man or woman is always using this platform to purchase lots and lots of baby wears. So we need to actually set up this tracking, to understand when pregnant women actually put to bed, right? This is just an example, because then it means that their search pattern or their purchase pattern, would probably change. And then if we figure out on time, we can then promote, items that are mostly, for, those who just put to bed, right? I'm trying to, figure out the right term to use. So, but I mean, you get my point, right, Steve?
Yeah, I get you, man. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I don't know if you want to design such system. What are the set of tools you would want to leverage? Maybe you want to share your screen and walk us through how you would set up basically set up this system. Steve, do you want to do that?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
All right.
So quick one. Okay. All right. Let me just share my screen instead.
All right. I think I actually skipped some things. Maybe we'll talk about it, very soon. Talking about how we would, manage the security and privacy, data visualizations. Of course, we need to have a way to present, that data eventually, right? Talking about disaster recovery, talking about, the budgets, and of course, resource management and allocations, and then the team and skill sets, are required to build this, because of course, you want to make sure you are designing a system that your current engineering team or the engineering team in that particular organization would be able to implement whatever it is, or whatever set of
Mm.
tools you have decided to adopt. All right, so let me allow you take it from here, maybe for the next 20 25 minutes. Let's see what we have.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
All right.
So I'll be using diagrams on it. All right. For I find this to be pretty simple to use. All right. So and yeah, I'll try and keep it as simple as possible as well.
Okay. So we are we can see your screen actually.
Yeah, yeah. Can you?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We can. We can.
All right. Just find this in the root folder. Oh, okay. All right. So basically, right, generally, right, for data ingestion, right, so there are going to be three, or in general, there are going to be three parts to them, okay, to the data ingestion framework, in general, right? So there's going to be this part here, which is the consumer, sorry, the producer, right? So tell me if, let me just zoom in a little. So there will be the producer, right? So the producer here is basically a data source, right? It is where the data will be generated from, right? Where the data will be collected from. So in the case of tracking customer activity, customer behavior on our platform, uh, our data source would be our application itself, right? So it's not like it's going to be like our servers or anything. So it's going to be coming from within our application because we want to track certain behaviors, when our users do certain things, right? Or when we're trying to maybe add to cart, at the database level, for instance, assume we're doing that. And yeah, so before we add to cart or while we're adding to cart, we just want to, you know, push the some information of maybe the product that just been added to cart. Right, so we want to push it into something called which would be the next phase. This in this case would be let me just put a text on that. It's going to be called our pipeline. So this would be like a data pipeline, right? This is a data pipeline. So a data pipeline basically is just a set of basically just a set of processes, right? That would receive our data, right? In this case, where we are streaming, okay, so we would receive our data, and then there'll be other steps that would maybe clean up the data, and normalize the data, and we might have filtering in the pipeline. So there'll be like a couple of steps here, right? um, yeah,
Okay.
so a couple of processes within this pipeline. All right. So now, after data has been processed, right? Usually, of course, since the data itself, needs to be used for a certain purpose, right? So meaning that there will be people who will be consuming it. So this can be our sales department, it could be our business development, it could be, you know, any well, in this example, it would most likely be customer, sorry, a marketing department or sales department in general. But however, you can have multiple consumers, right? So you can have consumer A, you can have consumer A. Now this is me trying to give like a general overview of what a your data ingestion framework may look like, all right? So you
Yeah.
have like a consumer A, consumer B. Now, consumer B itself, in this case, can be another application. It could be maybe a machine learning tool out there that we've also designed, right? That would help us do some certain analysis and make you know some decisions for us to or for our system to use. And maybe at the end of the day, this system can actually get way complex than, but I'm trying to keep it simple because at the end of the day, you might have a consumer that will be, after it's done with whatever it's supposed to do with the data that you just got from the pipeline, right?
Yeah.
Will also maybe put some sort of like emit some sort of event or push to a particular queue or maybe a message broker that would sort of deliver, or I don't know, anything at all that could, there are a whole lot of things you could do or the consumers could do. So it's not necessarily humans that have to directly just consume the data. Okay, so consumers could be maybe a storage, right, where we're storing the data that we just collected, for users to make use of. It could also be a storage where from which a machine learning program that we've written, a data analytics program that we've written could read from and also analyze the data. Okay, so that this is basically what it would look like. All right, so we could have this guy and yeah, this guy. Okay, so let me delete this. So you can have multiple, and
Yeah.
the truth is we can also have multiple producers as well. All right, so but in this case, let's just keep one producer. All right, let's just say this is our application, and whenever a person adds to cart, we want to you push whatever product they've just added to cart, and whenever they are deleting from a cart, all right, maybe just like Marv already mentioned, we want to know um, why people are removing a particular product from their cart, stuff like that. We want to keep track of something like that. You get. So they add a product to their cart, but then they tend to remove it for some reason or the other. They don't go on to buy the product, and then they check out without that product, with other products instead. Okay, all right. So like I mentioned, I said there are going to be a couple of steps in here. All right, so there are going to be a couple of steps in here. All right. So this would be like I don't know. This could be like step one. So it could be something that just maybe collect the data. That could be like the first step. This could be like maybe clean up data. So let me just say clean data. So this step might just be data collection, something like that. And then
On the
this would
data
be
collection step, in the data collection step, what kind of what kind of tools are we looking at using?
okay. Well, in my case, I think I would maybe like to use S3 to be more like the landing area into this pipeline. All right.
Okay, so does that mean
Right.
the applications, the producer applications would simply push that data into S3 directly?
Well, hmm, that's a that's a very good question. Okay, well, I think we can review that, but yeah, I think I'll do that in this case. I'll push into a particular bucket, right, and then the data I'll be pushing here would of course definitely come with metadata like maybe the type of the data, whether it's JSON, whatever it is you get, and
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, then there will be the cleanup step, and then there will be the normalization step. Yeah, the normalization step would
Okay, sorry.
mostly be important.
Before you proceed, sorry, before you proceed, I
Yeah.
think I also have a question. So, in data collection steps, so let's say we're pushing to S3. What kind of requests are we going to be making to S3? I mean, I know very well that if you're using, let's say you're building with Node.js, for example, if a
Mm,
user makes a request, to let's say a user clicks on a particular item and adds that item to cart, right? Are you going to send a request from your, your portal or your front end, application to the backend that would then push that request to say user added item A to cart. Are you going to push that item to S3 directly, maybe using the SDK or using some sort of API?
okay, yeah. And I think that is all I'll do, but I would want to send it maybe as JSON, or yeah, maybe JSON. I think I'll just send it as JSON.
So when you,
Um,
when you say when
so
you say you're sending it as JSON, is it like you're sending it as a JSON file?
yeah, as a JSON file, that would be an option. But alternatively, I could use
Let's look.
DynamoDB.
Let's try
You
to
get,
explore that option. Yeah, can you hear me?
yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, let's try to explore that option because I mean it sounds interesting, but I also think I have some reasons why I might not want to do that. But I mean it can work. So you're sending a JSON file for every single request in terms of so let's focus on one part right now, understanding the user behavior, right?
Mm,
So when the user is clicking, you're basically sending a JSON file and you're trying to save that JSON file on S3. We're looking at one user. So let's say we have a particular user login and then within the time frame that they logged in, like 10 minutes, for example, or let's say 5 minutes, they perform, let's say, 100 actions, right? That is just an example here. Give me a second to pull up my calculator. Um, so we have
No, I think I can already see the overhead that comes with already.
okay.
So I think
Imagine you have
I'd rather
a
just
million users.
I think I might want to switch to a different approach. Maybe I would move to uh, hmm. Okay, let's say I wouldn't go there. So I think what another way I would go to is maybe an API, right? I think maybe
Yeah.
I would have an API gateway in this case, and then maybe have a lambda function that would sit behind our API gateway, right? I think that's what I would have instead, right? And then yeah, I'll still be sending JSON object, but this time we don't have to persist that data, like as in having S3 as a landing area where we have to persist the data you get for a while. Uh, yeah. So I think I'll go that route. You know, yeah.
Okay.
I think I'll go that route instead in terms of
Okay.
data collection.
Yeah, I'll still come back to that. Let's just proceed.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be one option. All right. That would be one option. Sending directly to an API. That would be one option. Another option that you could use, all right, would be maybe streaming, a tool that can help you stream data, maybe like Kafka. All right, so yeah, so you put your message into it, and then of course the data gets sent to whoever is or your application basically that would be listening. Now in this scenario, you would probably have like an application that is already um, in place, just listening and waiting for data to come in. All right, but I mean, do you think that would be expensive? But I think that might be we having stuff running. But if we have like a whole lot of volume, if the platform already has like a whole lot of volume and a whole lot of users, then I think that's one approach I would go with rather than having a lambda spin up that gets started up.
Yeah, we mentioned real time. So my concern when you mentioned S3 was how we intend to make it real time. I mean, except
Yeah,
you're now going to have to set up like some sort of S3 event to say when a new data comes in, we're pushing this data somewhere that will then handle some other kind of operation. I believe if we put the event driven part by using Kafka, when the producer is putting those set of items into Kafka, then you have the consumers pick it up automatically, because that's the way the platform, is built to work. That's the way Kafka is built to work, right? So you
yeah,
push it to Kafka, you consume from Kafka. And of course, there are other alternatives to Kafka, but that is just, a simple example.
yeah,
I think a better way to handle such, right? Of course, S3
yeah.
can actually do the job, but I think Kafka would actually give you that, a real time
Experience. Yeah.
functionality. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think I'll go with Kafka in that case. Like we just decided. So I'll go with Kafka, and then the producer pushes the data into Kafka. So in this case, Kafka will be receiving that information, and then yeah. So it comes into Kafka. Would have the rest of our application. We'll have like a standby application in this case that would, well, a scalable one in this case that would listen, get data, and then once the data comes in, it once it gets the data from Kafka, it consumes the data from Kafka, and then it just pushes it through the other steps in the pipeline. All right, yeah, I think that's what we will do. So yeah,
Okay,
so
but
in terms of
there's something to also consider here, right? In your first
okay,
example, and this is me trying to actually, focus on multiple areas here to understand what works best, right? Of course,
okay,
we're basically making architectural decisions here. If you're saving into S3, for example, you have that durability, you have that persistence, right? If you're saving into
yeah,
Kafka, of course, you can then decide to say you want to set up like maybe you want to connect Kafka to something like Hadoop, right? Yeah, yeah. So maybe you want to connect Kafka to something like HDFS. So you basically save into Hadoop. because by default, if you don't set up a way to have those data stay, right? You don't want to have Kafka store those set of data for like a very long period. While it's consuming, you want to be taking it off Kafka and putting it somewhere that can you can basically store that data and reuse it over time. So I think using Hadoop would be an option. But now you see you have two services, Kafka and Hadoop, which is an additional cost, right? For
Mm-hmm.
S3, yes, S3 is in the cloud. You can't actually deploy this yourself. So you have to then consider as well, is the organization or the e-commerce brand, looking at having their data on the cloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the cost, in terms of maybe they have some business reasons not to do that, but I mean, ideally, they should not have a problem with that, right? But if you're considering that, for
Mm-hmm.
example, Kafka and Hadoop, of course, can sit on-prem. I mean, it's open source services. But if you are now going the route of S3, is it possible to have like an S3, some sort of S3 alternative, from AWS on-prem? Is that a thing?
Well, yeah, but,
We might,
no, no, no.
we
I
might
don't
not.
think I want to, because if I don't think I might want to have that on prem anyway.
Okay.
It depends on the policy. It depends on like you said, the budget. It depends on the policies. Maybe the kind of data we're collecting. But in this case, where it's we're trying to understand, you see an e-commerce platform, and then we're trying to understand something like customer behavior. Yeah, why not? I think I'll just have it on cloud instead of having it on premise.
Okay, I
You
mean, if
get?
you're going, then let's look at the angle of complexity. To be very fair, for the engineers or the people actually deploying this, and this is where the skills come in. Do they have the engineering skills to actually the talent on ground that can set up Kafka and Hadoop, right? Maybe on some sort of cluster on the cloud. Of course, you can do this on the cloud as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you make sure it can scale because at this point, it's either you're using a managed, Kafka, instance, right? Yeah, so it's either you're using a managed Kafka instance on AWS. I'm sure you can have a service,
Mm-hmm.
or you can set up this service on EC2. On Azure, I'm sure you have Azure Event Hub for Kafka that can actually work.
Mm-hmm.
But if you then decide to set this up on EC2, the engineering skills would then be some sort of dependency, unlike using S3 where you just click on a few buttons and you're good, right? So I can
Yeah.
see we have upsides and downsides to these looking at some of the things I have mentioned, will you still prefer to go with Kafka?
Yeah, I think yeah, I would still prefer to go with Kafka in this case.
Okay, okay, because at least we can get the the real time thing, the latency thing fixed using Kafka. Okay, let's proceed.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. So, excuse me. So, in this case, say,
Okay, hello, can you hear us? Okay, so I think Steve probably had some network issues. Moses, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we're talking about the whole Kafka. Uh, yeah, we're talking about the whole Kafka and S3 option. Do you want to speak to that?
Um, not sure.
Steve, are you back? It seems
yeah,
like
yeah,
Steve
I'm
is.
back. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. All right. I think we can also see your screen now.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
So,
proceed.
that's what I was saying. So the consumer in this case, sorry, the producer in this case pushes data, right? Would it be like a JSON data, right? And then this gets passed on to the rest of our pipeline, right? So um, if we're going to, by the way, let me just point it out. I would have maybe like for instance, if it, do I say, uh, now the reason why I'm doing this part here, right? Why I'm doing this part here, why we like have a standby server running,
Okay.
mount, that is basically, in the case where um, if the business itself has like a whole lot of volumes, a whole lot of users, a lot of products, like a whole lot of activities going on, you get. If we look at that information and we see, yeah, there are a lot of, we look at their metrics on maybe, I don't know, for if they're on AWS, a CloudWatch or so, right, we see that they have a whole lot of, traffic coming in. You get a lot of activities going on. Then in that case, I think I'll just have a server, you know, basically, getting data from picking data from Kafka, right? Picking messages from Kafka. And yeah, so in this case, we can then push on to do a whole lot of other things, right? So we get the data that we need, and we can choose to do our pre-processing here. So we can choose to have like the rest of the pre-processing phases here. That would be one thing. So if you want to, keep it that simple, that would be one option. To write all of the, let's say you get your data, then you do all the steps like normalization. But having all of that inside of just one application running, that might slow things down, right? So yeah. So one thing I might want to do here is just have I think I'll just have message queues in between. So what do you think, Marv?
Well, okay. So, what I'm already looking at is you already have Kafka. So basically, I don't think you actually need this that you're bringing in right now because Kafka is already acting as, so you produce your messages into Kafka, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you have your applications or the other third parties. Yeah, maybe like an application or like a database, right? That Kafka will then send in that item into. Now, the benefit of using Kafka is that, the producers, all they have to do is push and forget about it, right? So they just receive the information, they push it in there, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
So any other component, whether it's an application, that has to consume before, processing, or maybe you're putting you include like what I mentioned earlier, which is the Hadoop. You put in Hadoop in the midst. So basically, Hadoop would pick up that information, and then you can bring in something like Apache Spark, right, to do data processing. So it will process the data, refine the data, and you can also pick up the items directly from Kafka, into services like Spark streaming. So Spark can also pick up this item and use it for like real-time processing, of course, while then sending it into some other application that can then pick it up and present the data if you're done with all the necessary processing that you want to do, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, if I am to design this, of course, I like where you're going from here. Let's just
Okay.
delete that messaging stuff. Yeah. So if you put this in Kafka, then Kafka, then you know, let's say you have Apache Spark, pick up the item from Kafka and of course does the necessary processing. Of course, it depends on what the organization is trying to do. They might decide to say, okay, we need to pick this up with Python, do all the necessary things we want to do, and then save it somewhere, maybe on Hive, right, or HBase. You understand? We have a lot of tools that can be used for this. And after that,
Okay.
we want to connect this to, Grafana, for example. I mean, Grafana is a good choice, right? We want to connect this to Grafana to present this to the business team, right? So that they can always monitor and understand their, um, this set of details. It means you have to then build a dashboard on Grafana, which is fine. But if since we're already using Apache Stack here, if the team is already familiar with, let's say using an Apache related, service representation, of course they can go the route of there's this service called Tableau. I don't know if you have heard of it before.
Yeah, I know about it.
Yeah, just like Power BI, and yeah, so they can basically use tools like that. You can pick up the data from the database, right, where it has been stored, which can be, I mentioned HBase, I mentioned, HDFS, right? So you can pick this data up from here and, push it to like Tableau or, Power BI when the processing is done, basically. If Spark is doing this processing, it's going to then, save the processed data, back into, a specific, maybe like a specific partition or something, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can choose to save somewhere else, but let's just go with the same option as saving back into HDFS. Then you can then pick up this data with a Tableau, or Grafana and present, to the people, to the team that should be, monitoring this data. Now, when I mean this data, I'm speaking to the
Process.
um, yeah, I'm speaking to the process data, the website performance. So if you're looking at website performance, here is my question: how do you get the website performance, or the website data, right? How do you get this kind of data?
Okay, yeah. Depends on what you're trying to collect, right? So, a good example would be well, Prometheus. I don't know if you're possibly familiar with that. Right.
Yeah.
So you can have that maybe at your application level. Right.
Okay.
And another thing you can do is you can set maybe alerts. Yeah. From okay, this is me assuming the person is using AWS in this case, right? So you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
check and check network traffic and get alerts based on um, maybe the amount of requests you're getting and how, and you can also get information maybe about the uh, maybe CPU usage you get. All right,
All right.
yeah,
So
so stuff
let's
like
say
that.
if this is deployed on EC2, for example, right? A normal instance, yeah, like an EC2 instance. Then, of course, if you want to be capturing like the CPU usage or the disk storage and all that, it means you need to have like a service that is giving you this information, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Then you have to then look at setting up like, what exactly is the interval? I mean, is that going to be real time as well? Is it going to be every second, every minute, every hour? I mean, there should be a way to track this, right?
Yes, now you probably just want to set it. I don't know, just basically you're going to set the interval at which that service will be pushing this data to you. All right.
No, if,
So
if we're using Prometheus, like you said,
no. I mean, if we're in the case where we're using like a different service, assuming it was easy to get, assuming we're tracking like network and shit and all that stuff. Say we're not using Prometheus within the app, you get.
okay.
Okay, so in that case, you should be expecting a lot, from whatever service that would be, tracking your network and all that stuff. But if we're using Prometheus, there definitely that means well, yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to be a different model, a slightly
yeah.
different model.
All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. I actually understood, the explanation from you, and of course, I love the fact that we were able to, ask multiple questions and try to debunk, the reason or the rationale behind some of the decision that we've made. Of course, we're out of time already, but we are actually going to have like a second part to this where we can, have the system designed proper, right?
Yep.
So I believe we can actually continue from here by Sunday next week. So it's already 1 hour, and unfortunately, we could not really have Moses, share his screen and give us what he had prepared for us. But Moses, I'm sure you won't mind, doing this by Sunday, right?
Of course, I won't mind. I have learned a lot from Mr. Steve. Quite a lot.
Awesome.
So
Oh,
Sunday, we'll be there.
All right. Okay. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, I will see you guys on Sunday. And obviously, even before Sunday, if we have something else coming up, I would inform you. And, I would love to be on the stage with you guys again. So I really appreciate, and I'm sure by the time the community guys, check out this particular session, they would learn, one or two. And we did not share this on time. So hopefully the next session will be having more numbers join us. Okay. So thank you very much for joining and do have a wonderful evening, guys.
all right. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Uh,
Bye, Moses.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Bye.
Bye.